Thank you all so much for joining us. We have a lot of small business owners. We're here today to talk about small business issues and economic development in the city of Newark. How would you engage the small and local independent business community?
Well, first, I believe that small business is the lifeblood of our community here in the city of Newark. From businesses like we're in today, but there, Newark has about 400 manufacturing companies still in this city. We make things from cowboy hats to backpacks in the city of Newark, and I don't know if people really are aware of that. And because they're not clustered in a specific area in the city, they're actually spread out in neighborhoods because they give easy access to local residents to walk to the actual factory or manufacturing plant to do the work that they do every day. So just on that note, we are going to focus heavily on this kind of manufacturing base to get them the kind of research and development they need, the technical expertise, so not only they can make their businesses more efficient, but to grow them and expand them and put more folks to work there. We also are interested in developing small business assessment teams, which actually go out and assess the businesses that we have now that don't need to be started up, that are actually up and running, to begin to help them navigate the processes in City Hall, give them again some technical expertise, use the Rutgers Business School to be able to help them expand their product line, talk about the services that they provide, help them even to get microloans to grow their businesses even more.
I don't think I can be effective in the job that the people would hire me to do if we don't have a very strong, very thriving small business sector. I mean, that's where economic growth is going to be rooted. That's where job growth is going to be rooted. And so that's fundamental to our ability not only to provide employment to Norkers, but also stabilize our tax base so we can then make the investments that we need in safer streets, more opportunities for our kids in the after-school hours, strong schools, housing, healthcare, the whole range of issues. I'm very intentional about making sure that the government partners with community-based organizations to do our work. Because I think in a variety of different areas, community-based organizations, first, are less political in general, not always, but in general, which means a greater probability that we're going to make the right kind of decisions for our community. And related to that is the ability to do more medium and longer term planning. So I want us to provide seed capital. Obviously, we have BCDC now. I'd love to work in partnership with organizations like Ford Ever to provide seed capital to Newark-based small businesses and entrepreneurs who have great ideas.
What is your plan to work with organizations like ours, like Forward Ever, and other community business organizations to implement a local first, buy local imperative in this community?
First, I think that the pattern that cities usually follow to help cities grow has changed, right? And people are beginning to see that trying to attract big box businesses in the city and these arenas and sports teams do not necessarily translate into economic sustainability for the city. The cities that were able to beat the recession, if you will, cities like Pittsburgh, were able to focus in on what they did best inside of that city. So the kind of localism that you're talking about, not just localism, but regionalism as well. And people confuse regionalization and regionalism all of the time. So Pittsburgh, for example, didn't just focus on Pittsburgh, they focused on Allegheny County. So they attracted business to the county and grew businesses around the county, because the logic is everybody in the city of Pittsburgh is not presumably going to work in the city of Pittsburgh, they're going to work around the city of Pittsburgh. So if you grow the economy around the city, you inadvertently help people in the city. We write bids and reach out for companies, professional service contracts. Just about anybody who shows up and says, we want to do the job, and it's usually, for the most part, the majority of the contracts we give out are outside of the region, which is unfortunate, right? So most of we should have a local strategy where we're going to procure goods and services from local businesses. We have to write bids that way, though, that say, one, give people higher points for their location and things of that nature. So we have to make sure that we have a strategy where we have a preferred vendors list, and we begin to talk about how do we purchase goods from people in this area.
This has been a part of my economic development plan since we started running. Anyone who receives an abatement, I need you to buy local and invest in our small and mid-sized business sector to the greatest extent possible. Even if you don't have an abatement, I'm very confident from the conversations I've had with many of our business leaders that they recognize that it's good for their bottom line when Newark-based businesses and Newark-based small businesses grow as well. So in all of these different ways, I believe we can create a kind of economy, a kind of ecosystem where we're enabling our small and mid-sized businesses to grow, to participate in the economic output of this city in a much more substantial and significant way, to provide employment for Newarkers, which is obviously critical when we can put folks to work, and in so doing that stabilize our tax base, which is in stress right now. Our taxes have been raised about 40% the last few years. The city laid off 170 cops. Code enforcement officers cut programs for kids, cut programs for seniors.
Yes.
We have a deficit of, at minimum, $35 million this year. My people on the inside say it's $50 million. The state is threatening to take over our budget. And so part of how we solve all those problems is through what we just talked about in terms of investing in small local businesses.
So I think that Ferry Street is an incredible example of what we're talking about in terms of food and vitality in that area, and I think that should happen all over the city. Like Newark has a huge amount of cultures and diversity that we could duplicate Ferry Street all over this town, right? So we can do that in different parts of the city. On Bergen Street, on South Orange Avenue, we have to put pressure on these businesses to actually do those things that they say they're supposed to do, and ask them how many people from Newark locally actually work at their companies and not just cleaning up the offices, but how many of them are in top level positions in these companies, and what are we doing to, and if that's not the case, what are we doing to train the workforce so that they're able to take those jobs?
In terms of some of the broader growth I want, as growth comes to the city of Newark, I want to happen in partnership with our small and mid-sized businesses. So even when we have large-scale projects, I'm going to want money coming off of that to go into a pool where we can provide seed capital, we can provide technical assistance, where we can provide incubation services for our small businesses. I actually want to reduce regulation and taxes on businesses because I want more people to come here. There's others who talk about, let's add 3 new taxes, let's put a toll road on McCarter Highway. I actually think that hurts economic growth. I want to make it easier for businesses to come here. I want to reduce regulation, I want to reduce taxes, I want to reduce the pipe where you essentially pay. Given the way in which things can become politicized, trying to get through City Hall, I want things to be more efficient. That hurts small businesses too. If it takes a year to get certain permits through City Hall, or if it takes a year for certain basic variances to get through, those are costs small businesses cannot afford.
I know Newark has the best technological infrastructure in our city, underground, in the entire state of New Jersey. I would go as far to say in this tri-state area. I mean, there's a huge investment about to take place in this fiber optic infrastructure that we have on the ground, which I think is going to attract all kinds of new startup businesses. There's going to be a possibility to get free Wi-Fi in this city in specific areas that receive some of the fastest internet services in the country, right here in the city of Newark, which is not just going to attract these kind of startup technological companies. We have to promote locally for businesses and for folks like that to begin to start their own companies. We got to begin to get these kids involved in coding, get them involved in programming, get them involved in technology. Because every technical job you create 2 professional jobs and 3 non-professional jobs. When you create a job, when you create those businesses, those kind of technological businesses, you create jobs for lawyers and accountants and all kinds of other people. And you create non-professional jobs, secretaries, all kinds of other things that are associated with that, which I think is going to boom in the city of Newark completely. And I think it's going to happen more rapidly than we can imagine, because there are people right now thinking about what I'm talking about and are starting to invest in that. And so we have to use all the resources that we have to invest locally and grow from within, right? And not just have this kind of idea that we need to go around the country and around the world and try to get businesses, attract them to come to Newark without growing the economy from the inside out.
We don't stabilize crime, this city is not going to grow, period. When you have 111 murders in a city of 280,000, we're not going to get the growth that we ought to have. People are terrified, people are moving. because of what's going on. Kids being beaten into gangs, being an issue. Kids joining gangs just so they don't get beat up by the other gang. It's out of control. And so we're going to be very clear to say this is not who we are. You're destroying our kids. We're not going to tolerate it. I'm not trying to negotiate with it. I'm not calling for a truce. I'm here to eliminate. I'm here to eliminate this activity in our community. And if you want to do the right thing, we want to help you. That was the message, right? Because sometimes when I say to people, misunderstand. We're going to do the right thing. We want to help you.